Warning, the following video will contain content that is not appropriate for children. Viewer discretion is advised.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back for another one of my Pokemon Battle Revolution discussion battles. Fuck yeah. Alright, so today I'm going to be talking about some more shit, obviously, because, you know, that's what I do here with my Pokemon Battle Revolution discussion battles. I talk about shit. Obviously, that's why I call them my discussion battles. So, today I'm going to be talking about renewable energy. And I'm going to be honest, I actually like the idea of renewable energy. You know, I've always thought that recycling was a smart idea. You know, like, as long as I can remember, at least in my neighborhood, we've always had a recycling program. Like, hell, I remember back in the day before we had, like, the, you know, regular recycling receptacles, we used to have, like, these blue recycling bins, like these actual, like these actual recycling bins. Like, they weren't full on, like, you know, garbage can things, you know, like the garbage people get. But they were like these actual just blue bins. I remember we used to keep them in our pantry. But we would keep them kind of next to the garbage can once we had, like, recycling stuff that we needed to put out on the curb. We would actually have to carry these blue bins out to the fucking curb on garbage day. And the recycling people would come, pick up the blue things, dump them in the truck, and then leave the blue things, and then they'd be on their way. So I remember back when recycling was like that. You know, that's how it was when I was a kid. We didn't have, like, dedicated, you know, recycling bins like we have now, like with the garbage cans and shit. But I always thought recycling was smart, right? And the sun gives off tons and tons and tons of free energy. Like, it's really dumb to not take advantage of that. But here's the thing. The fact of the matter is that if this country, and I know a lot of, like, the hippies out there and the, you know, environmental activists and shit out there are saying, oh, well, we need to switch to entirely renewable energy. And that's a nice thought in theory, but here's the thing. If we are someday going to switch over to renewable energy, and I'm not entirely saying that we shouldn't, to a certain extent, switch over to, you know, renewable energy. But if you are going to switch over to renewable energy, it will be built off of the backbone of the oil industry. God, I cannot talk today. Sorry, I'm trying to, like, burp and then talk at the same time, and it's, like, not working. My gastric system is not functioning properly today, apparently. Been drinking too much energy drink, apparently. But think about this. There are materials that need to be used in order to make solar panels, right? And how do you get those materials? You get those materials by mining them. And how do you mine them? You mine them with machines that are powered by, you guessed it, gas and oil. So again, I'm not saying that we shouldn't switch over to renewable energy, or at least use renewable energy in tandem with, you know, fossil fuels. But what I'm saying is that for all of you environmentalists out there, in order to get to a place of relying more so on renewable energy, if we build an entirely renewable energy infrastructure, it will be built off of the backbone of the oil industry and of the fossil fuel industry and the coal burning industry, shit like that. So again, I'm not necessarily saying that, you know, renewable energy is a bad thing. I want to make it abundantly clear. I think it's a very smart thing to do. You know, I think every person out there should get solar panels on their house. I think that is a good idea. However, I also say that we should not, or I also think that we should not rely solely on something like solar or wind power. Look at what happened in Texas. You know, when their grid got completely annihilated when there were temperatures slightly below freezing. Look at what happened to the Texas power grid, which relies heavily on wind power. It got completely fucked. Now, granted, I think solar power is better than wind power, but I also think that we should not rely entirely on solar or wind power either. I think that also would present its own issues. So here's my solution, and I know a lot of the environmentalists out there are going to hate me for this, even though they can't be bothered to do basic research, apparently. The answer to clean, sustainable energy, clean, renewable energy, is actually nuclear power. Now, some of you guys may be confused because y'all may have heard some of the fake news out there about nuclear energy, but here's the thing about nuclear energy. It is clean and it is sustainable and produces zero, yes, you heard me correctly, virtually zero carbon emissions. Zero. And the amount of waste that comes from nuclear energy is incredibly minimalistic. Now, granted, there is the worry that if those nuclear power plants are not properly maintained, guess what? They kind of explode. But that's why you have to not be stupid and put competent people in charge of running those places, actual smart people who know what they're doing. That way that shit doesn't happen. Which, at the vast majority of nuclear plants, it hasn't happened. It's only happened in cases where there was extreme incompetence, stupidity, or they were overworking their workers. So then someone who was probably exhausted, working, 3 days in a row without sleep or something, ended up fucking up, making a mistake, and boom! Yeah, nuclear power plant goes boom. Yeah. So you just have to be smart about how you do it, but I believe that if you actually care about the environment and actually want to create a sustainable energy, like a clean energy infrastructure, you do it through using a combination of putting solar panels on everyone's houses and using nuclear power plants. That's how you do it. If you actually fucking care about the environment, that's how you fucking do it. But you have all these people out there bad-mouthing nuclear energy because, oh my god, there's a couple of nuclear energy plants that blew up. Yes, due to extreme incompetence. And again, that's why you put competent people in charge of those places and don't overwork them. Simple as that. But if these environmental activists actually cared about the environment, they would be advocating for nuclear power plants. But they don't, because guess what? Spoiler alert, it's not about the environment. And that's all I'm going to say on that, because I'm not really going to get into that right now. But regardless, that would be my solution to... those are my overall thoughts on renewable energy. I'm not necessarily against wind power either. I want to make it abundantly clear. I'm not against wind power necessarily, but I feel like the better route to go with would be a combination of solar power and nuclear power. That's what I would go with. If I was going to be, in charge of creating a clean energy infrastructure, that's what I would do. I would use a combination of solar and nuclear power if we actually cared about reducing carbon emissions. That's how I'd do it. And it would actually probably increase carbon emissions at first because you'd need to create all those solar panels and you'd need to mine the materials to create those solar panels. So it would probably actually create more carbon emissions at first, but in the long run, it would reduce carbon emissions. But that's how I would do it, anyway. But again, like I said, I've never been against, renewable energy. In fact, when I move out and get my own house someday, probably one of the first projects I'm going to invest in, depending on like the state of the house that I get, I don't know. But one of the first things I'm probably going to invest in is solar panels. That way I don't have to rely on the, on the power grid as much. Now granted, again, solar panels are definitely not perfect, but they help a lot. That's for sure. Again, they help a lot. It's stupid not to get solar panels, in my opinion. Unless, obviously, you don't have the money to do it at the time. I get it. But in the long run, it helps you out a lot. So I think it's a worthy investment. But then again, what the hell do I know? I'm just some stupid kid who sits around playing video games all day. It's not like I know anything. All right. Well, either way, guys, that will do it for that one. So stay tuned for the next one of my Pokemon Battle Revolution discussion battles coming up next. The next one is going to be a bit of a heavy-handed topic. So, watch at your own risk. That being said, if I'm even still up on YouTube, who knows? I might only be up on Rumble nowadays, considering I just have not been doing a very good job of keeping my mouth shut lately, obviously. So, yeah, and YouTube tends to not like it sometimes when you speak your mind. So, yeah, great. Great fucking world we live in. All right, anyway, that will do it for that one. So stay tuned for the next Pokemon Battle Revolution discussion battle. And until then, peace out.